This is the BBQ Central Show Archives. The BBQ Central Show airs live each Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and is brought to you by the BBQ Guru, makers of automatic temperature control devices, and a host of other products that make your barbecue and grilling life easier. Visit them online at thebbqguru.com or call them 800-288-GURU. And by Big Poppa Smokers, creators of fabulous rubs, online retailer of grills, accessories, apparel, and creators of their own barbecue contests. Visit them online at bigpoppasmokers.com. And by Butcher BBQ, creators of injections and rubs, sweeping the nation, doing well in competitions and in the backyard. You can visit them at butcherbbq.com. And by Stephen DiFranco Jewelers, official jeweler of the BBQ Central Show. Call 440-943-2700 and use key term barbecue brother when you talk to Steve, or visit them online at StephenDiFranco.com. And by Green Mountain Grills, one of the best pellet grills you can get on the market today, varying sizes, not only for your capacity of cooking, but for your budget as well. Visit greenmountaingrills.com for more information. And by El Diablo Mustard. Looking for a little bit of heat and flavor in regular old yellow mustard? El Diablo has you covered. 6 different flavors to choose from currently, and you can find them at eldiablomustard.com. And by CookinPellets.com. Have a pellet-driven cooker? Why not try out some of the best pellets on the market and will not void any of your warranties, by the way? CookinPellets.com is the website. And by Cookshack, a premier manufacturer of electric and pellet-driven cookers, giving barbecue classes located in Ponca City, Oklahoma. Always running some kind of a special deal. Check them out at Cookshack.com.
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
All right, good evening and welcome to the Really Big BBQ Central Show. Oh yeah, it's the show that talks about all things important in the world of barbecue and grilling, broadcasting live and direct from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio. It is the barbecue capital of the Northcoast. I am your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evening. If you see fit to join in on the show tonight, more than happy to have you. It is a phone call, as you see here on the new set, by the way. Thank you, Denver Caverns. New set. 216-220-0966. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com is the email address should you see fit to join in tonight. More than happy to have you. And everything else you want to find out about the show, thebbqcentralshow.com. Here's what's coming up on the show tonight, in case you didn't get the newsletter, which I did send out. Coming up in about 10 minutes from now, Pitmaster of Plowboys, both competition team and restaurant, Todd Johns joins us. He is a American Royal Grand Champion as well, by the way. Then we move to 9:35. Got a new product on the market? Gotta get them on the show. Dave Bouska, Butcher BBQ, will be talking about the open pit flavor pork injection that he has fresh on the market, and then we'll move to the second hour. And, you know, when something good in barbecue is happening, I want to be first on board to tout it. When something is good in barbecue, and it's going down in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio, I gots to talk about it, and that's why we're going to be talking about half of the ownership of the Proper Pig food truck here in Cleveland, Ohio. Shane Vidovic joins us here on the show. 10:14 and 10:35. Should you see fit to keep it locked and loaded all show long. 216-220-0966, Greg at the BBQCentralShow.com. If you are watching the show right now, or if you are listening to the show right now, a couple of different links I'd like to get out so you can invite your friends and neighbors and family to join along tonight in the fun and frivolity of the Barbecue Central Show. The audio stream can be found at thebbqcentralshow.com. The video stream can be found at outdoorcookingchannel.com. And, of course, if you have Internet Protocol Television, or IP television as we call it here in the industry, like Roku or Rabbit TV, you go to that app store on the respective IP television software, and you download the Outdoor Cooking Channel app. And then you're off and running. You can watch the live stream right there on the show. Right there, first available choice is the live stream. Then you have me, and then you have all the other shows running off in archives. And don't forget, you can subscribe to the show for iTunes. You can subscribe to this show on iTunes for replays. You can also go to the YouTube channel right there on the lower third. Right there on the lower third. Also, Outdoor Cooking Channel is video replays. Of course, the main clearinghouse for any type of replay is the main website, the BBQCentralShow.com. No reason you should ever miss anything on this show, ever. So there you have it. 216-220-0966, Greg at the BBQCentralShow.com. Once again, lineup tonight. Todd John's coming up in about 7 minutes from now. Dave Bouska, Butcher BBQ, talking about his new product and some other stuff happening. And Shane Vidovic at 10:14 and possibly 10:35. His food truck business is called The Proper Pig. You can find them on the Twitter at The Proper Pig. They will follow you back. They will interact with you. They will talk about Texas-style barbecue in Cleveland, no less. When do you get Texas-style in Cleveland? Cleveland? Hardly ever, but they are one of the few doing Texas-style, true Texas-style barbecue. Right here in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio. Rarely does it happen. Coming up in the second hour, we will be talking to Shane, but in the Second Takes segment, which is just at the top of the hour, folks, do you have a Keurig, the coffee maker, the Keurig? Watch out, folks. You're going to want to stay tuned for top of the second hour. We're going to be talking about the Keurig and why you may or may not be simply horrified that you're still using it. Maybe you won't be using it after the top of the second hour, but we'll see. But I figured my duty to warn you if there's something running amok here out there in the consuming public. It doesn't have to be just about barbecue, of course. The Keurig is a very catchy, a very fad-like coffee machine. The single-use coffee machines have really become quite the rage. I had one. I'm not a fan. I prefer the Bun home coffee system, which is awesome. Hot water on demand, brews 10 cups of coffee in 2 minutes or less. I'm a Bun guy, always been a Bun guy. But the Keurig certainly is beyond reproach as far as popularity is concerned, so we're going to address that the only way it should be addressed, with truth, honesty, and a internet post, of course. It's got to be true, right? Absolutely. All right, so we are locked and loaded. We are off and running with the show tonight. Todd John's coming up out of the break. Let me talk to you first about the longest-running sponsor of the show, located in Warminster, Pennsylvania, the BBQ Guru. Gang, look, if you've been thinking about automatic pit temperature control devices for your cooker, stop here. This is the company that started it all. They are the creators of this technology. Why would you buy from anybody else? I don't know. Outrageous. Not familiar with how these little beauties work? I'm not going to get into the minute details, but imagine a product that allows you to set your pit temperature. And once set, keeps it running at that set temperature all the way through the cook. Sounds too good to be true. It's not. This is real life, and you can take advantage of this technology today. Now, maybe you're a busy working professional like me, or perhaps you're constantly on the run with kids doing errands, and quite frankly, you just don't have the time to set around and tend pit temperature. BBQ Guru allows you to throw a pork butt or a brisket or a couple slabs of ribs on the cooker, and then you are off to do whatever it is you need to get done, and the Guru maintains that pit temperature you set it at. There are currently 4 different models to choose from, so you know there is one to fit your budget and your level of geek. And for instance, geeks, you have Wi-Fi connections all over the place. You got hotspots. You got smart devices, notebooks, Chromebooks, tablets. CyberQ Wi-Fi might be right up your alley. You never even have to get out of bed anymore to check pit temperatures, to make pit adjustments. Cooking too fast, you can lower the temperature of the cook. Cooking too slow, you can increase the temperature of the cooker. Also, you're looking at the internal temperature of meats as well. Once you get towards that finished temperature, you can start to ramp it back down, putting in a holding pattern, if you will. Really nice. Or if you just need a cruise control for that pit temperature, how about the Party Q? $149, recently just got a makeover. Fits on a number of different cookers. Easiest point of entry into pit temperature controlled devices. Self-contained package that runs on AA batteries. Of course, you have the Onyx oven as well. They're working on a new cooker, which I hope to have more information on from Barbecue Bob over there at the Guru. Sooner than later, I hope. Do yourself a favor. Head on over to thebbqguru.com and check out all their products. If you have any questions about what to order, call them directly. Don't live in the dark. 800-288-GURU. They will make sure you're outfitted with exactly what you need to get you up and running right out of the box. 800-288-GURU. That's GURU. Or visit the website, thebbqguru.com. The Barbecue Guru is a breakthrough in barbecue technology. Todd Johns from Plowboys Barbecue up next. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Radio Network studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Radio Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Welcome back. 216-220-0966. Come on, come back here now. The email address is thebbqguru.com. You want to jump in on the show tonight? More than happy to have. Oh, boy. I have a feeling I didn't do something. Hold on. Hold on a sec. Give me 1 sec. Yeah, nobody's going to hear Todd when I call him, that's for sure. But we're all set now. All right, but we're all set now. Got to hear the guest, right? That's kind of key. Want to make sure you hear the guest. Otherwise, you're in trouble, as it were. All right, this portion of the Barbecue Central show is brought to you by CookinPellets.com, your number one source for quality wood pellets for all of your pellet-driven cookers. Visit CookinPellets.com for more information or to purchase. You can also visit Amazon.com to purchase as well. Thank you to CookinPellets.com. My first guest tonight has been an award-winning championship barbecue pitmasters for years on the competition circuit. However, recently has gotten into the next step of the business of barbecue, the restaurant business to be specific, and has seen much success in its short life. So let's go ahead and race on over to the hotline and welcome back friend of the show, the pitmaster of Plowboys Barbecue. Todd Johns joins me here on the show. Todd, how are you, buddy?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely fabulous, Todd. Appreciate you making time out for the show tonight. Obviously very busy with all the new endeavors that you are running into. I guess before we get into Plowboys, the restaurant, there was obviously a considerable competition life and reputation and rubs and products and all this other stuff. So for the folks that may not be as familiar with Plowboys themselves as it started. Maybe a little background about you and kind of how you got into the barbecue scene, maybe specifically the competition side of things, and then, of course, we'll convert over into the restaurant side.
Sure. We started the Pork Pulling Plowboys barbecue team back in 2001, and the founding members were my wife's oldest brother, Randy, and myself. And Randy's really the one that got us started in all of this. And when I first started dating my wife about 16 years ago, I think Randy took pity on me being the new guy in the family and just kind of tried to find something that we could connect on. It became barbecue. And he had a little bit of history being a pork producer for many, many years and working with the Missouri pork producers and cooking for some events and really knowing a lot of the different cuts and of the hog and how to prepare them. And even today, I feel like I understand the hog and more than beef. And a lot of it just comes from being around Randy so much and learning everything that he knew as both a producer and also as a cook. And so, I kind of know a little bit more. I grew up in a farm family. Both my grandparents had farms, and I got to hang out there a lot and be involved in that sometimes. And so just kind of learning more about the animal from Randy and some of my experience, I think sometimes it plays into being a cook too. So, that's a little bit of my background as far as, getting started.
Did you find that the olive branch or the thing that he was hoping to get in common was good? Did you think you were going to find as much fun in competition barbecue as obviously you did?
No, and I'm probably still every day just kind of shocked that it has all come to this, and never would have dreamed back then or even in the recent past that things would have taken us on the roads they've led us on. So. We started out 15 years ago going to the American Royal and taking a KCBS judging class with the intention of cooking the following year, which we did. And so in 2000, we went to the Royal and took the class, and we got to get the food that actually Gary Wells, who founded KCBS, was the cook that day. And Gary cooked the food, and that's what we judged and learned what the process was all about. And what was kind of cool is last week, as the American Royal had its cooking class, I was the cook for that class. So here 15 years later, I go from kind of student to cook, and it was a really cool, it was probably only something I appreciated because no one else would have known that. But, to kind of come full circle like that was kind of a neat thing for me.
Todd, I guess it's not normal that, at least over the last handful of years since I've been doing the show, there, aren't a lot of pitmasters that I've had on that have been doing competition barbecue for 15 plus years as you have. And certainly you've seen a lot transpire, change, evolve over the last decade and a half. When you look back to when you started, when you look to where we're at current day with what seems to be such a highly specialized event each and every weekend when you break down ingredients that you're buying and purveyors of the different meats when it never seemed to be like that. What are the one or two biggest changes or evolutions that you've seen on the sport since you started in 2000?
Well, the biggest thing that has affected competition from the time we started until now is the internet and people connecting and learning from each other and people sharing more than they ever did back then. It took us several years to learn what some people are going out and learning in their first several months. And there's so much information. There's classes. We didn't have any of that. And people were very, very guarded about what they were doing back then. People talk so much more now than what they ever did when we started. And there were a few people out there that would mentor somebody else, but there was usually a pre-existing personal relationship of some kind, be it family or friend. And there's just, it seems like the climb to the top can be a little faster these days. But that being said, it's a lot more specialized. The cuts are getting a lot more specialized, and it just seems like everyone's, trimming that corner a little bit more and being a lot more razor sharp on what they're doing. So I think it's getting a little more competitive, definitely, than when it was when we started. But there's a lot more assets for people out there and a lot more products. There's a lot more products available than there ever was. And it's almost, I think we're getting too many. I think we're getting too many classes as well. I think some of the same things are starting to be retaught in everyone's classes. And I think it's easy to go to market with a rubber or sauce nowadays because companies that help you manufacture and co-pack those things have developed marketing and sales and processes around small batch, getting someone who just started their product company. They had a good year on the competition trail and they want to parlay that into a product and, getting some money out of that market. And so I think it's easier for folks to dip their toe in that. And I think a lot of them learn how challenging that space can be because you are up against a lot of competition, a lot more than when we started, but there was a lot even when we started in 2007 selling products, which, by the way, started before we started seeing success on the competition circuit. Like the rubs came before we started winning a lot of awards. So we spent a lot of time in the desert, as they say, taking our lumps and learning ourselves, before we became successful. I think I calculated we cooked 70 contests before we won our first grand champion.
Wow. That is a lot of lumps.
Yeah, but it only took 2 more contests to get our second one. So it was like once we figured it out, it was like, oh, the light bulb went off. Oh, this is what you're supposed to do, and this is what it's supposed to taste like. And I think the biggest thing for me as a cook is I really could understand, when I finally understood what good supposed to look like, all of a sudden the light bulb went off and things got a little easier for me. Then I could really kind of understand maybe what I thought the judges were looking for and could start to repeat that process.
Todd Johns from the Pork Pulling Plowboys joining me here on the show. Sorry, Todd, I got a little diverted here off of the original topic that I wanted to talk about, but seeing as much time as you have in the world of competition barbecue, I could probably burn a segment just playing catch up and talking about that. But I do want to mention the fact that a lot of people see success in competition, as you had mentioned. They'll want to parlay that into some type of a revenue stream. But typically, that's coming in the form of sauce or rubber, both, or injection, what have you. But few will take it to then what I would term the next level, or getting into the real business of barbecue, which is opening a restaurant, which is something that you have not only done once, but now having a second location as well. So I guess, where does the jump-off point occur from you saying, hey, we're successful at the rubs, we're successful at the competition thing, we won some of the biggest competition events during the course of a barbecue season that you can win. Let's make a run at the restaurant, because that seems safe and an even bet.
Yeah, so for us, it's just been a 15-year progression, and there are definitely a couple of key points along the way that probably propelled us a little bit further. Maybe, winning the American Royal, or, losing a job at one point several years ago. I just kind of, got a severance package after 10 years at a company and decided I was going to take a couple months, and it happened right in the middle of summer. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to take this summer off and go cook barbecue. This was back when there was jobs to be had.
Yeah.
And so, that was kind of pivotal. And at the time, my wife was actually telling me, this is what you love to do, and why don't you try and do this full time? But we didn't have the equipment. We didn't have a lot of the things that we would need. And it was just too much of a leap at that point. But we just kind of gradually did more catering. And that's the other thing, we talked about the rubs and the sauces and whatnot, but a lot of teams, they learn how to cook. They learn how to cook well. Then the next step is learning how to cook a lot of food. And for some, a lot may be 40 people and maybe 400 people. We've done as many as 2,600 people at one time. So a lot is kind of a relative term, but they start to branch out into catering, cooking for events. It may be a family, church, whatever. And then that tends to grow, and you get comfortable with the 40 people, and then it expands to 400, and maybe you do 4,000 at some point. And
wow.
You just keep pushing yourself, and that kind of happened with us. We started doing more and more catering. I was working a full-time job in IT, which I had done for 21 years. And, the last couple of years before the restaurant, when it came holidays, my wife was full-time barbecue. It was really my passion, but, I was the one with the good full-time job, and she quit hers, and she'd go out and do the caterings while I'd stay up all night cooking, getting an hour of sleep here and there. I'd get everything ready for her, and then I'd go to work for the day. And that was our life for a couple of years. And then things came about, and we were able to do a restaurant, and here we are. So,
historically, opening a restaurant is one of the more risky things that you can do when you're looking at businesses, I guess. What did you guys take into account, or what were some of the planning moments that you and your wife and whoever the rest of the management team would be that said, hey, here are the things we really got to hit to ensure that we have the best chance of success at a barbecue restaurant? Plus, you happen to be in an area of the country that probably isn't hurting for barbecue restaurants, right?
Yeah, well, we're in a monster of a market, and I think largely that's not a good thing. Because the market is very flooded, and there's a lot of people that are very familiar with barbecue. And, sometimes they serve it up to you, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So if it isn't up to par, they know it. They're going to let you know it. And the market is here. It's starting to change, I think, a little bit in Kansas City, but, the market's been dominated by what I call the 400 800-pound gorillas, which is Joe's, Bryant's, Gates, and Jack Stack, all four very good, steeped in tradition. And, the youngest one's almost 2 decades old. So great business plans. All four of them are different, and great management teams and all that. So, so now you're the 200th barbecue restaurant in the city, and you've got those four big guys you're going up against, and everybody else. But I think what's starting to change is, people they love those four places, as they should, but they like venturing out and finding places like us too. And so we are trying to be a neighborhood place. We're in one of the suburbs. I call it a bedroom community. We're the 6th largest city in Missouri, so we're a very large suburb. I think there's 65,000 people kind of in our city and general area. So we've got a pretty large populace, but most of them are going into the city to work and then living out here. So we tend to get a lot of big weekends. Saturday, all day long, we're busy. Sunday lunch, there's 10 churches within a mile of us. So Sunday lunch is our biggest meal of the week. And we get a lot of dinners and families that are busy, and they're hitting us on the way to and from ball games or whatever they're doing as a family. And we have a drive-through. And our restaurant, for those who don't know, is a former Wendy's that had been closed for 7 years. And we picked it up and renovated it, and most people could not tell it was a Wendy's. But we have a drive-through, and that drive-through counts for 25% of our overall business. Wow. At an average, day in, day out. And my feeling is, of that 25% of our total revenue, I bet 20 of it would not exist at all if it wasn't for the drive-through. a portion of that, maybe 5% of our business would get recaptured by people coming in the door. But I think a lot of them would not come in because of the inconvenience.
Yep.
People like to just come through and get it, and we're all trained that way from years of fast food and whatnot. So, I'm sorry, Greg, I don't remember what your original question was, but I'm just kind of rambling.
Yeah,
here,
no, I mean, it was answered and then some, so I certainly appreciate that. We're talking with Todd Johns from Pork Pulling Plowboys. Todd, do you have a website for the restaurant itself?
That's one thing that I'm actually having some meetings and taking a little trip tomorrow, and that's one of the things that we're going to talk about. We're being a small business and trying to, get the second restaurant going and still have all the sauces and rubs, which has been a growing business for us too. And it's hard to do it all. And I'm trying to find some help on that. We do a lot of stuff on Facebook, and that tends to be very easy. And we have a great following from a lot of our loyal customers on there. So we've really tried to focus on social media with the new restaurant, which is now in downtown. So we're out in the suburbs, but the downtown restaurant is in the second tallest building downtown, called the Town Pavilion. And we're on the ground floor with a corner spot, great location. There's like 2,000 people just in our building. And with the two other buildings connected with us, different from the suburban restaurant that we have. But when we're working on a website that you can, and there's a mobile part of it too for smartphones,
yep,
where you can actually order and pay online. If you're ordering a group lunch, like if, the admin of a local business wants to order lunch for 20, they can actually set up a group order and then send the link out to the 20 people, and they come and place the order online as well. So no more of this, get the paper menu and pass it around the office. It's all virtual now, and then they can pay, they can set their time when they want to come pick it up. And, we have management functions as well to be able to say, hey, we can only do so many orders, during this time of the day, so that, if we're doing a heavy lunch in the dining room, we can only do so much to go. But, that kind of stuff is coming for us, and it's in the planning phase right now. And there's a lot of cool stuff that we're going to be able to do with that. So it's fun being, it's fun having, this is what I love. I love competition, but this is really what I love. I love being an entrepreneur. I love building a business. I love, trying to see what I can do to expand and grow that business. And I've been fortunate in my former life, 21 years in IT, of being surrounded by a lot of really smart, brilliant people, and tried to suck as much off of them as I could. And I feel like I use a lot of experience that I've gotten from other people almost every day in my current life. So
Todd Johns breaking it all down for us. You can find him in Kansas City, Missouri. Pork Pulling Plowboys, pitmaster as well. Todd, I've run out of time because I'm a guy that asked questions that were offhand in the beginning, and I apologize. But I mean, I would really love to have you on so we can really, look at a little bit more of the intricacies of, opening a restaurant and how you found a place instead of building, and rent versus own, and your own versus franchise, all that stuff that, maybe you may or may not considered, because I know there's a lot of people out there would really appreciate that information. So let's get together off air, see if we can't hook that up sooner than later. But I do appreciate you making time for the show. Continued success, man. We'll talk soon.
All right, thanks.
All right, take care. There he is, Todd Johns, Pork Pulling Plowboys. Man, killing it on the restaurant side of things. Voted best burnt ends in Kansas City, Missouri. Are you kidding? Who gets that when you're fresh up and running? Probably not even a year. Todd does. Todd wins best burnt ends. Dave Bouska coming up out of the break. Gang, if you didn't know by now, Big Poppa Smokers is the one-stop shop for anyone interested in barbecue, featuring a comprehensive selection of all American-made grills, spices, sauces, accessories, even a kit that gives you everything you need to make a world-class smoker out of a 55-gallon drum. Big Poppa Smokers has made a name for itself by making an award-winning line of championship rubs. The rubs have won almost every major competition barbecue event, including the 2012 and 13 World Series of Barbecue in Kansas City, the 2012 Jack Daniels Invitational, 2013 Kingsford Challenge, 2014 Houston Livestock and Rodeo. Many more to come. Many that have won this year already that he hasn't listed here on the read. BPS has also banded together with a fellow California-based rub company called Simply Marvelous Barbecue to form what has now become known as the West Coast Offense. Defying conventional wisdom, these two California-based rub makers have cornered the market on competitive barbecue and begun to redefine the flavor profile that competitive cooks from across the country have begun to aim for. They've also created two of their unique competitions, all their own. King of the Smoker, which brings the best of the best in barbecue and a head-to-head back-to-basics competition style. The King of the Smoker is unique in the fact that contestants may not use any electric devices such as pellet cookers or pit minders. Contestants are just allowed to use charcoal, wood, and their wits to win one of the most high-stake barbecue competitions around. The other competition that BPS has started is known as Guinea Pig. This is a cost-controlled competition that helps to bring in newcomers to the competitive barbecue world. It also features prize distribution all the way down to 10th place in each category, which helps provide incentive to get new competitors into the world of competition barbecue. On top of all that, Big Poppa has created a unique brand ambassador program, the BPS Elite Team, featuring 15 of the best competition teams in the country working together to promote camaraderie, competition barbecue, and to benefit children's charities across the U.S. So, keep in mind, the Big Poppa Smokers, Sterling Ball and the gang out there, have been able to do this within the 4 years of it being in existence. Business, if I might say, in another way. Turning the competition barbecue world on its head, creating their own unique competition, becoming a staple of a nationwide restaurant chain, and benefiting children's charities across the U.S. Just beginning for Big Poppa Smokers. Of course, the website, BigPoppaSmokers.com. Big thanks to Sterling Ball and the gang over there for support of the show. Certainly appreciate it. And we'll be talking to him shortly. We will head on over to pick up Dave Bouska from Butcher BBQ to talk a new injection hitting the market. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Get in the smoke. Call 877-448-0433 to get on the air. Now, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. Thanks again to Todd Johns for joining me in this past segment. My next guest, a championship-winning pitmaster on the competition circuit, purveyor of fine rub sauces and injections. Most recently, a panel member of the 2014 competition Chicken Roundtable Show, and a longtime sponsor of this show. Let's go ahead and race over to the hotline and welcome to... This is where I say let's welcome Dave Bouska to the show. No. Get that big stuff out of here. Did I see him in the... He's not still in that meeting, is he? It's 8:30... It's 8:30 Western time, ladies and gentlemen. Central time. All right, let's try again. I'm not going to turn up the volume. Leave the meeting. Leave the meeting, come to the show. I think he said he had a 7 o'clock meeting Central. That's 8 o'clock here. So, yes.
Hold on just a second.
All right. All right. Okay. Am I hanging up? No? I was talking to Dave. You can't hear it. Have my earpiece in. Where is... Let me get to Dave's website. Pull it up over here on the main stage, ladies and gentlemen, main stage, yeah. And let me see what he has. Is there any news? I know this is like fresh off the... You there, Dave?
Yes, sir.
All right, Dave Bouska, ladies and gentlemen. Dave, how are you, buddy?
I'm fine, sir.
Good. All
We're
right.
waiting.
No problem. Let me... I'm just trying to pull up the most recent picture that I use when you call, or when I have you guest on the show. It's the very impressive... Is that the Pitmasters trophy that you have in your hand in that glory shot that I use? You know what I'm talking about?
To get on there and look.
I think that's the TV show trophy shot. All right, Dave. So for people who don't know you, you're Dave Bouska, Butcher BBQ, ButcherBBQ.com, longtime sponsor of the show, and, of course, wildly appreciated by your host and friend. And I guess the one thing that I, as I guess what I would term myself as a businessman or a semi-entrepreneur, which you are as well, aside from being a great cook out there on the scene, you're always thinking of something new, whether it's this trade-in program that we've talked about now for a while, whether it's adding to the product line with rubs and sauces. Of course, a lot of people know you from the injections, which you have the pork, the beef, and the prime injection, the bird booster, which we've talked about as well. But it's like it's never enough. There's always something that is going on in that injection mind of yours, and we have something new to announce tonight, which is the open pit flavored pork injection. So you take it for face value introduction, and you're like, wow, that sounds intriguing. I want to know more about it. Tell me, what can we expect from this injection in a profile, a flavor profile? But I guess B, more importantly, where is this even rattling around in your head as something that you want to bring to market? Is it like market research? Is it a flavor that you remember growing up, or a flavor that you prefer when you're cooking in the backyard that you wanted to bring to the masses? Tell me about open pit flavored pork injection.
Yeah, first, open pit pork injection is a similar product to our rotisserie chicken. That flavor derived from that. I was playing with it, and another team had mentioned that sure would be good on pork. I was already using our rotisserie chicken injection in my pork, and I thought, let's see here. Let's take the chicken stock out and let's start playing with this. And that's what I did. I thought, if I'm not the only one that thinks the flavor will be good there must be a call for it.
So, Dave, let me interrupt just for a second. You're using your rotisserie chicken injection in your pork.
I was for a while because I didn't have this product. I actually...
I mean, it seems completely counterintuitive.
No, it's not. It's all flavors. It's games we play with the judges. They eat... by the time they get to pork, they've already had 12 pieces of barbecue. You need to give them something else different. Sometimes the middle of the road's not where you need to be. So sometimes you curve off to one side or the other. Sometimes it's spicy, sometimes it's sweet, savory. I chose that route, and I did that in pork for a while. You really don't want to know what's in the brisket. That's for another round table. But the pork, I did that for a while. And so I took the pork injection that we have with a hydrolyzed vegetable protein. We started blending it with this, and it was kind of plain. So we started stepping it up. We got some different things in it. We got some molasses. There's 4 kinds of peppers that are in this. There's some dried butter, which that was in the chicken. There's just different things, and it's a different combination of it for the pork, because most pork is cooked so much longer than the chicken. So we had to change up the way the flavor hits your palate to make it still have a good taste. I've been cooking with a form of this pork injection since May, and the biggest thing we've had has been the pepper, the black pepper, actually. We've had a real hard time getting the peppers to go through the injector. We went to the finest ground pepper. We sifted the pepper. we even went and located a provider that could get us a regular stock of liquid pepper. We didn't like that. And then we ended up just using white pepper because that's basically it's some of the part of the black pepper without the kernel. So that's what we ended up going with was the white pepper.
From a purely market standpoint, how long does it take? I mean, look, you've obviously created a number of injections. So, the process, I guess, in an overall sense has already been laid, and it's more of a honing of the product. But how long does it take from you messing around with it and, saying, hey, I like this chicken thing, but let's do a pork thing with it and bring it to market? How long does it take you to go from test to, okay, here we go, we're ready to unveil it as you did a couple days ago on the internet?
Anywhere from 3 to 6 months, sometimes 8 months. If it's a completely new product, it could take a year, but sometimes 6 to 8 months is a good average. I'm playing with 3 other rubs right now. We've been working with suppliers trying to get the right flavor product. I think they'll be great rubs, but at this point, we're not ready to come out with them. And I've got a liquid product that I was actually used back. I started using it the year we did the Barbecue Pitmaster show. The folks we cooked against on that show nicknamed it egg yolk. But I'm not ready to come out with that. I've been using that on my own, and that's just my own little something. Some point I may market that and send it out. But coming up with products, we call it the boardroom. My son works with me in the meat shop, and as we stand over the cutting boards, we throw tomatoes on the wall and see how they hit. So we call it the boardroom. That's where we come up with ideas and we start playing with them.
When you have as many proven and successful products as you have out on the market now, and a lot of people would aspire to reach the level that you're at, but you're constantly trying to think of different things. As you said in the boardroom with your son, who I'm guessing that's Levi, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, shout out to him. By the way, phenomenal photographer, but different story for a different day. When you're dealing with these co-packers or these people that are trying to get it together for you, do you get a lot of pushback or static where they're trying to tell you, you should use this or you should use that, or are you pretty much steering that ship at this point?
I find my vendors. I directly work with the flavor vendors, and then we send it to our packer.
So you have a full-blown recipe in hand, and you just tell them, make this.
Yes, that's right. As far as a formula or something that will this product work in the market, will it not? I've got a saying that I read a long time ago, and I always take an item and I put it into this saying, and that'll tell me if it will generate enough sales for me to contribute any more time to. Is it worth buying labels for? Is it worth putting in the market? Do I have the right market for this item? And that's the reason egg yolk ain't out there right now. I don't believe there's a big enough market for it, so I've held off on it. But the saying that I always go with is, what weakness does this strengthen, and how many people have that weakness?
So until you reach that threshold of the more people have the weakness than don't, then you're gonna keep it in house, if you will.
That's correct.
Dave Bouska from Butcher BBQ joining me. ButcherBBQ.com is the website, of course, as you hear about each and every week on this show. Dave, real quickly here before I let you go, and appreciate the time tonight. If you could just kind of recap again, what injection does, how it differs from a brining, if you will, because I know a lot of people on the periphery, especially coming up to Thanksgiving, are going to do a brine turkey, if you will. But talk to me a little bit, educate us a little bit about injection, how it works, and why you're a big fan and why you've really latched onto that product line.
All right. Brining, first off, actually molecularly changes the cell structures of the muscles and the meats itself. Injection does not do that. And if you're looking to grow or to get into food service, there is a lot of the state health departments that will not allow you to brine without a HACCP program. Injecting can be done instantly, and no HACCP program will be forced upon you. Number one, that's a great thing. Now, injecting, it will help penetrate the meat right to the center where you need it. It'll help get you the flavors right there. You can brine a brisket, and it takes several days for brining to penetrate the thick, dense muscles. Injection is done within 15, 20 minutes. So, number one, that's the best scenario to use for brining versus injecting.
As far as that moisture retention, and you've talked about it on the show, I specifically remember when we were talking about Bird Booster, but I mean there is quite a level of enhanced moisture retention when you're doing an injection versus the brining too, as well, right?
Absolutely, yes, you're absolutely right. You can penetrate in areas that sometimes. Well, no, I can't say that. No, brining will eventually get to everywhere, but the injections can get there almost instantly. So the travel thought I had there won't work. So I'll shut up.
All right. Dave Bouska from Butcher BBQ joining us here on the show. The new product is called Open Pit Flavored Pork Injection. So if you are looking for a new flavor for the pork, or perhaps you want to diverge a little, maybe you're like Dave, you've been using the chicken, rotisserie chicken in your pork, and you want to try something a little bit different. This is something you want to go ahead and pick up. It is available for sale on the website, right, Dave?
Yes, sir.
All right.
We have a standard operating procedure. We send stuff to the stores before we ever release it. So I would love for you to go out and check with your local store first, then hit us up if you can't find it there. So please, let's support our stores.
ButcherBBQ.com, the website. He is Dave Bouska, pitmaster of Butcher BBQ. Dave, always appreciate the time. Thanks so much for coming out tonight, buddy.
Greg, thank you for having me, and sorry I was late.
Yeah, no, not a problem. There he is. Dave Bouska. I just appreciate making the call, Dave. What are you, nuts? Sorry you're late. I'll get those 30 seconds back, young man.
Get that big stuff out of here.
No, I won't. It's fine. The day that I think I was a minute late to my own shift. Wait, no, I was. There's Dave. There goes Dave. All right, folks, you've seen it for the last two interview segments. Let's go to Instant Chat for Yay or Nay. New set, Yay or Nay. Look I hung this nice new wood paneling. I put in the spotlights. A little better lighting. I know you love it. All right, folks, let me talk to you quickly about Stephen DiFranco Jewelers, Barbecue Junkie. First of all, the website, StephenDiFranco.com. Second of all, the phone number, 440-943-2700. When you go to the website, you're going to check out everything he has to offer. Steve is a engagement wedding ring superstore. Typically, I'm talking to you about watches, the Bolovas, the Citizens, the Philip & Company watches, those nice high-end without the high-end price type watches. There's a number of other things in Steven's store that if you can't get there in person, you can go on the internet, you can troll around, see what you like, and then you call him, 440-943-2700. If Steve does not answer the phone, there's a very high likelihood that he will. You ask for Steve, he'll answer the phone. Steve. Say, hey, Steve, my name is Joe S. the Ragman, and I'm a big fan of the Barbecue Central show. Greg told me to call you, and I saw this Camille bracelet, or I saw these set of earrings, or saw this watch. I'm a barbecue brother, or if you're a lady, I'm a barbecue sister. Boom. He will hook you up. You know, a lot of the stuff that you see on the website, I know a lot of you are going to the websites now. I mean, especially some of the big holidays coming up. Do it now. Shop now. Save now. Remember, everything ships to you for free as well when you go to Steve's. Again, StephenDiFranco.com, 440-943-2700. Ask for Steve. Tell him you're a barbecue brother or sister. He will give you the real discounted prices of a lot of that stuff that is on his website. Manufacturers kind of disallow him to show what he would normally charge, especially for the people that are looking for the hookup. That's the barbecue people. He knows what it's like. He doesn't want you to have the very lackluster experience of dealing with the turds, the malls, the big box stores. No names, please. You know who you are. So call him at 440-943-2700 or StephenDiFranco.com. Test him. Say, hey, I'm looking for something sweet for my wife. I got this much to spend. Give me some options. He'll give you options. StephenDiFranco.com. We're back to wrap the first hour right after this. Stick around.
Big name interviews, advice on cooking brisket and ribs, and the only host willing to share his honest opinion on all things important in the world of barbecue. It's the Barbecue Central Show.
All right, welcome back. Thanks again to Dave Bouska, Butcher BBQ, for joining me this past segment. And by the way, this is real wood. Don't let Don fool you. I used to be into that green screen crap. Not anymore, pal. That's real oak. You don't believe me? Just listen. See? Real wood. If you have the ability, as Dave said, to go to a store, go to his website, see where he's being sold in store. Or Dave, if you have the stores that you are in, give a list. If you're around those purveyors, as Dave said, support the shores, support the stores. What are you talking about? Lots of pixelation from my shirt, David. How dare you? I'm electric. Pixelation. You must be watching on the big screen. Yeah, that's right, Don G. You my man. That's my aura. It should be gold. It should be amber. It's the color of my energy. If you do not live by a purveyor, ButcherBBQ.com. The website you know, the website you love. And while you're there, pick up the new open pit flavored pork injection, yes. Pick up a 5-pound bag of honey rub, yes. Pick up a 6-pack of sweet barbecue sauce, yes. Remember, if you get over $200, you get free shipping as well. That sweetens the deal. I mean, you can spend $200 there easy because all that stuff is so good. Don't make the same mistake I did when I was buying stuff there originally. Buying the small stuff. No, don't do that. Buy the big stuff. Buy that big stuff. Right? Buy the big stuff. All right, we'll step away, reload for the second hour. Shane Vidovic will be talking food truck, Seatown, Proper Pig. We got Keurig coming up next. It's fun and frivolity here on the show. You are listening and watching the Barbecue Central show right here on the Barbecue Central Network.
This is Jennifer Palamas from Charlotte, North Carolina, and this is Barbecue Central.
From my heart and from my hand, why don't people understand my intention?
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan. So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono. It's all about the Charbono, dude.
Succulent fish. What?
We ate 54 wieners.
But listen, Lavernius, shake a face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Who? Top men.
All right, just like that, we're in the second hour. Yeah, I'm just, hanging out here on the floor. Well, watch out, my aura was really shining through. What? I wanted something a little different. Something that, this gives it a little bit more homey, little 75, 78 look, right? Yeah. Yeah! That's right. Folks, welcome to the Barbecue Central Show, second hour. This is a show, if you're just joining us here for the second hour, you've missed the first hour, and shame on you. It was spectacular. Might have thought about just packing the show in after the first hour. We talk about items that are important to the world of barbecue and grilling. The show isn't just about competition barbecue. I mean, for crying out loud, the last two guests that I had on have competition chops, but it wasn't about competitions per se. So don't listen to people that are telling you that this show was only about competition. Nay, nary a word of truth to that. We try and cover it all. The Baltimore Club basement look. I like it. Mark, yeah. Baltimore Club. This is downtown Cleveland look. It's the wood look. Is that a butterfly tattoo on Greg's wrist? Very dainty. No. It's not a butterfly. Clinton. Turd. No. And so what if it was? I'll have you know. All right. Where'd it go? I mentioned at the... I'm sorry. So we talk about barbecue and grilling here. You can find this website off hours at thebbqcentralshow.com. You can find archives at the same website. We broadcast live from 9 to 11. Again, I say it every once in a while because people listen to podcasts. This show is a live show. Like right now, if you're not listening to this show at this very moment at 9:03 and 55 seconds Eastern Standard Time on a Tuesday evening, October 14th. Is today the 14th? Who knows? If you're not listening to the show right now, you are listening to it in replay, podcast. I am recording the show as it's happening live for the people that can't. Did I say 9:03? I mean 10:03. Sorry, Don's always there for me. This show happens. This isn't pre-recorded, and then I edit it out. I mean, however it's happening right now for the next 120 minutes is how it went down. So when you're listening to it Wednesday, Thursday, or 2 Thursdays from now because you're lazy or you have some more important things to do that I don't want to hear about, you'll bruise my fragile ego. Know that you can join us if you set a reminder in your Google's calendar from 9 to 11 every Tuesday evening Eastern Time. You can tune into the show at thebbqcentralshow.com or outdoorcookingchannel.com or on Roku or whatever. There's plenty of different ways to consume the show live. And, of course, you can get it in podcasts, too. But join the live crowd. It's growing. I mean, we had damn near 100 people, I think, just on the Outdoor Cooking Channel side when Todd was on and when Dave was on here this past hour. Let me take a quick peek mean, we're damn near 50 still. I mean, come on. It's a huge live crowd. People aren't pulling this. Don't come at me with that Blog Talk Radio horse shit.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Has anybody else noticed that coffee seems to be really popular these days? Every corner has a Starbucks. Every corner has a mom and pop coffee shop that is bitching about Starbucks. Regional coffee shops like here. I don't know if they have them where you live. Arabica. Hell. Yeah, Arabica was very popular. Starbucks putting those people out of business. Clint Cantwell saying, why is Greg in my grandparents' basement?
Get that big stuff out of here.
Dude, this is high-quality cherry wood that I just milled myself over the weekend and hung it on the wall, bitch. Clint, don't you have some lame articles for grilling.com to edit and stick up and pass off as your own? Beat it!
Get that big stuff out of here.
So coffee is popular. And then it's like, what machine or what device can we make that would increase the popularity of coffee? Well, of course, it is the personal coffee machine and none other than the most popular personal coffee. Not the Tessissimo that Penelope Cruz markets. I don't even know the name of the machine, but I know her name. Tassimo, whatever. Forget it. Not that. The Keurig. That's right. Keurig. Keurig. Or as my dad calls it, the Kroig. Not right. That's incorrect. And, you know, you've seen it. Some of them have a water reservoir. Some of them you got to dump the water in, and it takes like 5 minutes to do it. But, you know, spend the $140. Buy the Keurig that has the water filter with on-demand hot water. I mean, if your coffee machine still has to heat the water through this, and it takes like 8 or 9 or 10 minutes to brew a pot of coffee, you're living in the dark age. Get a bun.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Get the Keurig that has the water reservoir on the side for on-demand hot water so you can just brew at will. You want to brew at will, basically, is what I'm saying. Well, this fine gentleman or lady, Aaron Chamerlick, who is an MS, also an MT, and an ASCP, whatever the hell that is. What busy person doesn't love the idea of having a personal cup of coffee instantly with a push of a button? Many people are delighted when the Keurig machines show up in the workplace or doctor's waiting room. I love the idea. I bought one from Costco along with a handy unit to store these awkward K-cups. Of course, insisted on the Newman's Organic K-cups for my own coffee choice. So we stocked a hot little beverage center for a variety of K-cups. The little voice inside my head starting asking questions. I pushed those concerns away for the sake of convenience. But here's what she was wondering. How fresh is the coffee in a K-cup? What toxins am I exposing myself to as the hot water forces the coffee through a little hole poked in the plastic cup? No! What is that lid made of that is poked at the top to allow water to enter the cup? What chemicals are used in the flavored coffee selections? Is there a filter inside that plastic cup? What is it made of, and how is it secured inside the plastic cup? If you own a Keurig, please continue reading the post, because I discovered shocking and sickening files. This will explain why I kicked my Keurig to the curb. First of all, is your Keurig harboring mold and bacteria? Look, I don't have to read the answer to that. The answer, of course, is yes. So isn't every other freaking coffee maker ever on the face of the earth. Scaling, hard water. Unless you're using distilled water and buying it from the grosh, you know, chances are you got crap in your water basket. The K-Cup conundrum, of course. Everybody very worried that they're plastic, non-recyclable. Come on. We're not going to be around here to have to worry about that. It's so overrated, this filling up of the landfill. It doesn't biodegrade. Yeah, forget it. I'll be long gone. Beat it.
Get that big stuff out of here.
The biggest concerns as far as, the top, which is the top of that K-Cup, the lid is a polyethylene-coated foil. Aluminum foil, she would like to avoid aluminum because of the connections with the biggies. These biggies, in no particular order. Celiac disease. Yes. How about this one? Depression.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
How about this one? Aluminum foil. Aluminum connected with anxiety. Huh? What? How about this one? You ever heard of this one? Alzheimer's disease. How about this one? You ever heard of this one? Alzheimer's disease. How about this one? You ever heard of this one? Alzheimer's disease. Yeah. Connected. That's right. And then she goes on to talk about reusable this, reusable that. I mean, come on. Why is this lady trying to get up on my Keurig talking about it's bad, it's moldy, it's going to cause Alzheimer's disease. You're going to be an Alzheimer's-ridden, depressed, anxiety-laden, celiac diseased, have a motherfucker.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Don't we have enough to worry about in this country right now? Going back to war, Ebola raging around the damn place. And we're going to worry about K-cups, aluminum foil lids, and if the cup is recyclable or not. Outrageous. Get me out of here. Shane Vidovic coming up. Oh, I forgot, Mark. I forgot that one. How about this one? Alzheimer's disease. Aluminum connected to Alzheimer's disease. That's right. Folks, they are a new and now vaunted sponsor of the show, Cookshack. Boom. Dave Bouska used Cookshack. If you're not into the wood fires, like the stoking of wood fires, if you're not into tending charcoal cookers, if you're not into tending pellet cookers, for crying out loud, which Cookshack makes, then look no further than Cookshack and their electric line of cookers. That's right. You have the Smokehead Elite, you have the Smokehead Original, you have the Super Smoker Elite, and the AmeriQ. These are their electric models that you can choose from. Plug them in, load them up with some smoke wood, and then set the temperature, and boom, you're off. You're ready to hit it. Go out to the beach if you want to. Take advantage of some pretty awesome accessories, like the ones I've been talking about for the last couple weeks. There is a cold smoke baffle that you might want to consider, but more importantly than that, I mean, if you're a barbecue guy, you're a meat guy. If you're a meat guy, you are a jerky guy. Get the jerky rods. Go buy your eye round of beef. Dave is the eye of round of beef, still the beef of choice for jerky. Slice it thin, put it in your High Mountain Cure, whatever flavor you like. Let that do its thing. And fire up your Smokehead or your AmeriQ or your Super Smoker Elite. Hang the jerky rods after you pierce those thin slices of cured beef and watch the magic happen. Dave's saying top round as well is good for jerky. I'm telling you, it's going to be some of the best jerky you've ever had. It's awesome. Now, let me warn you. I don't know if this is a break-in period or not, but when you use that Smokehead, you might get the release or the burp. Watch out. Known to scare nothing. Known to scare brother. People were running off the Lanai in Florida like 8 or 9. Dad, how long ago was that? 8, 9 years ago when that thing burped when we were doing the big barbecue for the next day, man. My mom and myself took out like We were getting shot at by rival gangs on the Lanai. Here's what you need to do. 800-423-0698 is the 800 number. Call a friendly sales consultant. Cookshack.com is the website. Again, the Smokehead Elite, the Super Smoker Elite, and the AmeriQ are your electric bottles. Inexpensive to operate, energy efficient, fully insulated. Lots of great stuff to buy for accessories. It's Cookshack.com, 800-423-0698. We're back with Shane Vidovic right after this. Stick around.
Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Radio Network studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Radio Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right. We are back, 216-220-0966. The email address is greg@thebbqcentralshow.com. If you want to jump in tonight. My guest in the second hour is doing it barbecue style, food truck barbecue style, and believe it or not, doing it right here in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio. Yes, the barbecue capital of the Northcoast. And it's not just your humble host saying this each and every Tuesday as I do the show open. Go to the hotline and welcome in the co-owner of the Proper Pig, Shane Vidovic, joining me here on the show. Shane, how are you, brother?
What's happening, Greg? Thanks for having me on.
Yes, certainly my pleasure, Shane. Hey, hit your camera button here so everybody can see what a handsome lad you are. There you go. Oh, look at this guy.
Represent Franklin's Barbecue today.
Yeah, Texas style all the way around. All right, so once again, Skype has decided to take a crap on me in the worst way. And I got to do a little bit of housekeeping here to make sure the video looks good. All right, Shane, so let's talk here a little bit. I guess most importantly, as we start building into the Proper Pig and the food truck business and everything that you're looking to accomplish here in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, and perhaps around the world as domination might be in the plans as well down the road. What's your background? Like, what are you into personally, professionally, and then I guess most importantly, where does your want or your passion for barbecue come from?
Well, Greg, actually, I work a regular job during the week. The food truck we just started up this year, and it's taken off crazy. So I got into smoking about 5 years ago. I just had a little Brinkman electric smoker that I started out on, and it was becoming like an every weekend type thing. I then upgraded to a Big Green Egg, which is awesome too. And then I was sitting around with my buddy Ted, had like 10 too many beers probably, and we're like, we're smoking every single weekend. Why don't we try starting a business? And then it's a lot of money to start a restaurant. So we figured, why not just get a nice smoker and throw it in a truck? We ran it by our wives. They must have drank 20 too many beers, and they agreed to it. And here we are every weekend out on the road.
Wow. All right. So, I mean, obviously it's a little bit more involved than that, although I like the nutshell version of it, certainly. Did you and Ted, by the way, Ted DePasky is your partner in crime, if you will, or half of the Proper. Are you the Proper or are you the Pig?
I think the Pig is we named it after some of Ted's past girlfriends. So
yeah, watch out. You can deal with that one later.
Yeah.
So, you guys just fans of barbecue, or did you think it was a niche here in Cleveland that was wanting, or what?
No, I think we really got into it because we love barbecue. I mean, it wasn't at first. We just started smoking and got the bug. We never really thought it could be a business. And then I took a trip down to Austin and Lockhart and ate at Franklin Barbecue, ate at Black's Barbecue. And that's when I really kind of fell in love with it, because it was like the kind of barbecue I was used to was more of a Carolina style, or what you get when you watch Pitmasters or something like that, where it's 20 ingredient rubs, a lot of injection, a lot of that kind of stuff. And when you went down to like Franklin, it was so simple. It was like salt, pepper, the meat did, and you just let the meat show. And I think that's where I fell in love with like the simplistic part of it. And then I was like, you see all these guys doing it in a city like Austin where there's a million barbecue places and there's still so many people making it. It was more of like a lifestyle. And then I was like, man, Cleveland doesn't have anything like this. And I thought, the people deserve to taste some good barbecue.
And I think it's important. I mean, obviously I can sit here and talk about it each and every week, and there's probably, a certain amount of lip service or non-lip service for me to say, look, there's really not a barbecue scene in Cleveland or really anywhere surrounding it. A lot of towns and cities across the country like to lay claim to some type of barbecue, but it's really not happening here. So as somebody who is not the host of this show, that being yourself, Shane, I mean, talk about, I guess, how awesome Cleveland is in the food scene in general, but then really, I guess, bolster my position by saying it has nothing to do with barbecue.
No, not at all. I mean, Cleveland's great. You could get a pig head on one side of the street, and then you could go down the street a little bit, and you could get some of the most authentic Chinese food, Vietnamese food that you could get in the country. So, since Cleveland's such a melting pot of different cultures, you could get everything here. And there's some great young chefs here now, like the Jonathan Sawyers. Everybody knows Michael Simon, who's going to try in the barbecue world this winter. But the food scene here is just awesome. And another thing about Cleveland that's great is the beer scene. So what's better with, great food than great beer? So we really feel there's some room here for barbecue. The people want it. Let's face it, Cleveland's a meat-eating type city. I mean, it's not people who are really looking to eat a bunch of salad. It's not California. It's a good Midwestern working class city, and we like our meat. But
do you think,
I'm not going to name any names, but nobody's been cooking it right.
That's right. Do you think that there is a Cleveland barbecue style yet, or do you still think it's, if you're going to, with your truck, or if I was going to open a restaurant, that the majority of people are trying to bring another region into Cleveland versus saying, this is my take on what Cleveland-style barbecue should be?
I think if you really looked at Cleveland barbecue, it would be more like the po' or the ribs, but it's mostly it's not really slow smoke type barbecue. I think you're looking at more like grilled stuff, what I would consider grilled. I'm not saying it's not smoked for a long time. It's more grilled. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of places are doing the whole reheated type thing where, they're cooking a couple days a week and then reheating the rest of the week. So you're not really getting that fresh meat, and you're kind of getting shortchanged a little bit, where when you go to a place like Texas, which is why I fell in love with this kind of barbecue, and this is why Ted and I decided to go with this kind. They're chopping it up. They're cutting it right in front of you. It's served right to order, so you're getting fresh stuff. You don't got to worry that it was cooked 2 days before and just drowned in sauce. And we don't put sauce on anything. If you want to put sauce on it, go ahead, but we let the meat be the star of the show.
A lot of people wanted me to ask you this. You're from Cleveland. Obviously, you are in the barbecue business, so you probably spend a lot of time going around Cleveland barbecue restaurants. And, a couple months ago, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, whatever it is, Al Bubba Baker was on the Shark Tank. He had his boneless rib steaks that, to his credit, went over very well with the Sharks. He had a couple of them contending for him, and ultimately he chose one, and boom, they're in production. But have you ever eaten at Bubba's Q, A, and B, yay or nay on the barbecue?
I have eaten. I've eaten at Bubba's Q, and I eat the boneless ribs, and they were fine. I mean, hey, Bubba's a big man. I'm not going to go talk too bad about his barbecue. Now, his style is what I would say different than ours. I mean, some people like blondes and other people like brunettes. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with it.
Are you saying some people like baked barbecue and some people like real barbecue?
To put words in my mouth, I guess. Yeah, I just think ours focuses a little bit less on sauce and stuff like that, and the slow smoking. I mean, it's true Texas barbecue. I think it's different than maybe what they portray on TV, where you see all the saucing and that kind of stuff. We were just in a competition up here in Cleveland, which I know probably a lot of your listeners would laugh that we even had a barbecue competition up here in Cleveland, but we opted to cook the way we always cook and not sauce anything and turn in what we would normally turn in, and we ended up winning the competition. So I think that goes a long way into showing how Cleveland's ready for
champions,
real Texas barbecue.
Right. Yeah. I'm not bringing schmucks on this show. Shane Vidovic joining me here on the show from The Proper Pig. His partner is Ted DePosky, and he is the other co-owner of The Proper Pig, not with us tonight. Ted, when you guys, or Shane, when you and Ted are talking about or maybe throwing around the idea of getting into the barbecue business, and aside from having some adult libations, perhaps in excess, at some point you have to sober up and realize that this may or may not be a good idea. So what did you guys take into consideration as far as, these are some things that we should really focus on to see if this is a viable idea or not, and what direction we want to go in? Is it a restaurant or is it a food truck type of a situation? Because food trucks seem to be very popular these days, especially over the last 2, 3, 4 years.
Well, in our situation, since we worked regular jobs, it wouldn't make sense for us to have a brick or mortar. We wanted to start off a little bit slower, so we thought, okay, let's put a food truck together. So really, what we had to learn, we weren't worried about the barbecue. We felt like we had pretty good skill at cooking the barbecue. My mom says she likes it. Just kidding. But
yeah, what mom doesn't?
Right.
Yeah.
But no, so we really had to get to learn the food truck business before we even got into the barbecue business, because there's a lot of regulation. Where can you park? Where can't you park? It's all marketing. You got to meet the people that you could get into the right events, or if you're not making any money, you're going to go out of business no matter how good your food is. So once we figured all that stuff out and actually built the truck, which took us probably 4 months longer than what we thought, the next big challenge was trying to decide how much food to actually cook, which we're still trying to fine tune. We just did a big flea market this weekend, and we sold out of over 200 pounds in about 3.5 hours. So it's good and it's bad, because we'd rather not run out, make a little bit more money, but it must mean we're doing something good if we're getting that kind of demand. So it was definitely an eye opener, because neither of us had any food experience other than maybe a year of working at Taco Bell when we were in high school. So it's I think we have an advantage because our food it's not rushed. We cook it overnight. It's all 12 hours or more cooking time. So whatever we have. It's not like we have to cook on the fly. So it's, once the food's cooked, we're just serving and having fun with the customers.
All right, so when you were talking about, or you decide it's going to be food truck because you said you have the day jobs, you're not going to kick those and do some, wild exercise and futility, right, and get the restaurant crash and burn, and, now you're divorced. And you're living with Ted trying to figure out, who you're going to be hooking up with to make ends meet.
Right.
So food truck it is. Do you... is there mentorfoodtruck.com that you can go and buy food trucks, or how are you locating a truck? And then, are you turning it into a food truck that you want? I mean, how does that, that's a pretty important part of this whole situation.
Well, first of all, we went to the most reliable place you could ever go to buy anything, Craigslist.
Yes, that and murderers.
Right. So we found... the greatest truck you could buy for about $1,200 and drove down to Columbus and checked it out.
What kind of a truck is it? Is it an existing food truck?
No, it was like a bread truck. It was a 1985 Chevy P30.
Like a step van.
Step van.
Yeah.
And it had nothing inside of it. And Ted and I know absolutely nothing about trucks. It was snowing out. We just saw it and we bought it, and we've already had to replace a front end and a transmission, but we learned a lot, and we built the entire thing from the ground up. We mounted a we cook on an FEC 120 Cookshack that's mounted right inside the truck. We wired the truck. We have the refrigerator in there. We have everything you could possibly need. It's like a little restaurant. And mind you, we're not really handy guys. We did a lot of YouTube, did a lot of internet searches, and that's about it. That's how we learned how to do it. And we've got good reviews from the health department. They say we did a great job. So guess we're not that dumb. But
so initial investment, you got $1,200 in the truck itself. How much money are you sinking for the retro to actually make it a food truck?
We're probably at about $20,000 to $5,000 maybe, because the smoker itself costs more than the truck. So it's there's a lot of build out, insulation, windows. The truck has water heaters, water pumps, water tanks, refrigeration. So we always joked our first rule about building a food truck is don't ever build a food truck.
So, I mean, you were in, about almost 4 or 5 times almost the cost of what the actual truck was when you're doing all the retro stuff. As far as cookers are concerned, you said you did the FEC 120. There's a couple different models of FE cookers to use. I guess, how do you land on, I mean, certainly Cookshack brand is beyond approach. It's an excellent cooker. FEC 100 obviously heavily used in competitions, but I'm assuming it's the 120 for a couple of other reasons aside from, or were you considering the FE 100 as well?
I talked to Cookshack about it because the FEC 100 is what we initially were looking at, but basically our truck's a big bomb, so if it catches on fire, it's probably going to explode. And Cookshack explained to us with the FEC 120, the firebox is completely separate from the actual crate. So the flame, there was a lot less chance of a grease fire inside there. The last thing we want is to be sleeping and then hear the truck explode outside. Like our neighbors would frown upon that. I'm pretty sure the homeowners association wouldn't really like that one. But so that's the biggest reason. I mean, we looked at every different kind of smoker that you could look at, and we felt that one landed on. We landed on that because it seemed like the safest. We liked the pellet system. It was pretty hands-free, kind of set the timer. When we're doing it with on the side, kind of, we didn't have a lot of time to sit up all night and watch the fire. I mean, if it was up to us, we probably would cook the way they do down in Texas, but it's just with the food truck, that's the only way we could pass the health inspection. And it's also an NSF-approved unit, so no problem passing health inspection when you're cooking on the Cookshack.
All right, so you have the cooker picked out, you have the truck all retrofitted, you've done your due diligence on how to go about getting licensed and all that health stuff that you were talking about a little bit ago. So once you and Ted are on full go, did you have jobs lined up in advance of the truck actually launching down the road for the first time, or was it something where you had it and now it's like, it's done now, crap, we got to actually go out and sell some jobs and start making money back?
We had no plan. The first time we went out, we went to we don't plan. We're not planning people. We're thinking about expanding now, and we're like, well, maybe we should talk to people that have done it before. And we're like, that's not the way we
forget
do
it. No way.
We'll just figure it out.
Right.
But no, we honestly, we got kind of lucky. We answered a call of somebody on Twitter to cater a party, and it ended up being somebody that was pretty in the know here in Cleveland, and they hooked us up with a couple jobs, and then people see us out, and the truck's the best marketing. We came up with a pretty cool logo people like, and honestly, Ted and I are just pounding the pavement. We're always on Twitter, on the internet, just searching for the next place to go. Barbecue is a great thing because there's festivals that we could fit into. A lot of people love barbecue. I mean, it's one of the most popular kinds of cooking in the world. So we could do a rib cook-off or a barbecue competition, or we could also just go park in the street somewhere. So we're pretty lucky when it comes to that. But we're always trying to book stuff every single day. And we got a late start this year, so we missed out on some of the big food truck events Cleveland has too. So next year we're really expecting big things.
Shane Vidovic joining me here on the show. Shane, can I hold you over for a break, and then we can talk a little bit about menu and pricing and all that stuff?
Sure.
All right. Shane from the Proper Pig joining us here on the show. We will ramp him down. Go get a libation, Shane, if you want. Enjoy the read here as we talk about my good friend Dave Bouska, who was on a little bit earlier, Butcher's BBQ. Folks, if you're like me, you're always looking to step up that barbecue and grilling game. We talked with Dave a little while ago about the new pork injection. He's got that open pit flavor pork injection. You know, when I hear the words open pit, I'm like, no, barbecue sauce, orange, stain of death. No, that's not it. This is something, if you've been looking to add a little different flavor, a little savory to the pork, get away from that sweet stuff that everybody's using. I mean, you heard Dave say it himself. Look, I want to offer up something in the tent that isn't going to be what's the one thing that I've been talking about for months and months and years, maybe. A lot of people are turning in similar stuff. Who's going to decide to get outside the box and offer up something that's going to set yours apart? Sure, there's a risk. Might be a little bit more offensive or less offensive or whatever, but take the risk. The risk is worth the reward. ButcherBBQ.com is the place to go. If you have a brick-and-mortar facility that sells David's stuff, go there first. Support the brick-and-mortar stores first and foremost. But if you're like me and you don't have any access anywhere, ButcherBBQ.com is the place to go. You can try out now the two different pork injections, the open pit, the regular pork. You have the beef injection. You have the prime injection. You have the bird booster. What is that? Pork, beef, and chicken. It's 5 different kinds of injection as the whole, but even the chicken has a number of different variations as well, so lots of different ones to choose from, experiment with. You heard Dave say he was using rotisserie chicken injection in his pork, for crying out loud. Mix it up, live a little. Variety, the spice of life. 4 chicken flavors, 2 pork flavors, 2 beef flavors. As I said, variety, the spice of life. If you're looking for go-to rubs and sauces, Butcher's has it as well. Dave said he's working on some new rubs that may or may not be available for sale here shortly. You know I love the honey rub. I once had a 5-pound bag that is now a half-a-pound bag. Oh, no! I'll be ordering more shortly. And then, of course, you have that sweet barbecue sauce. If I'm not making my own, I make sure I keep at least 4 or 6 bottles stocked in my barbecue vault, because I want something that I can trust, that I can go to, that I know not only is my palate going to be happy using it, but my friends, my family. Look, I'm in a house full of women, and they're not going to pull any punches when barbecue sauce sucks or if it's good. And Butcher's barbecue sauce, undoubtedly good. Revered in this house. ButcherBBQ.com is the website. That's ButcherBBQ.com. Try the new open pit pork injection. You'll be happy that you did. Shoot Dave emails. He will converse with you should he see fit. Don't ask stupid questions. Ask good questions. Dave will respond back in kind. ButcherBBQ.com. Always trust your butcher. We're back with Shane Vidovic, Proper Pig, right after this.
Big name interviews, advice on cooking brisket and ribs, and the only host willing to share his honest opinion on all things important in the world of barbecue. It's the Barbecue Central Show.
All right, welcome back. 216-220-0966. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. We are talking with Shane Vidovic from the Proper Pig. That is a food truck based here in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio. Shane, thanks for hanging with me through the break here.
Hey, no problem.
Menu, whether it's restaurant, whether it's food truck, I mean, you know, here in Cleveland there is not a what I would call a shit ton of food trucks, but there's a decent amount. But they seem to be spawned off of what is a successful brick and mortar restaurant. Fahrenheit has a food truck. There's a couple other ones that I can't think of right off the top of my head that are brick and mortar based food trucks. But yours is different. Obviously, you are all encompassing. It's the food truck or nothing with you. So, how do you decide menu wise? What's going to make it to the truck? And I guess how has, if at all, has the menu changed from when you first started or had an idea to do it, and what was more realistic and what actually made it on the truck?
When we first started, we had a lot more sides. We were doing like macaroni and cheese and beans and all that kind of stuff. But people didn't really even watch. It just wasn't.
Shano.
For as much room, slow down. Oh, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, froze up. Yeah, you're good now. You're good now.
All right. Yeah, but like I said, we were doing macaroni and cheese and beans and coleslaw, chips, a bunch of different sides. And at the end of the day, people basically just wanted coleslaw with their barbecue, and which was fine with us because we didn't have a lot of space, and we had like 5 different kinds of potato chips. It was slowing everything down, making everything really tough. So the sides are what we mostly cut down on. So that's where we really cut back. As far as what we want to do, being in Cleveland, we're not held to any kind of specific style of barbecue, so we could do it. We could screw around. If we want to smoke a bacon wrap meatloaf and sell it, we could smoke a bacon wrap meatloaf. If we want to do brisket nachos, we could do that. But every time you come out to see us, we'll have brisket, pulled pork, and Texas hot link sausages. And then also we'll have bacon on a stick, which is like our best-selling menu item, especially when we do these events where there's alcohol involved. So
I got a picture of it. Here it is. Ready for this? Bacon on a stick. Boom. Oh, my God. I mean, this is incredible. Let me see if I can't actually bump in on this a little bit more so you can see. I mean, here's what I dig about bacon on a stick is the fact that, here we go. Look at this lady. I mean, she is ready to suck down pork like nobody's business. But here's the key to bacon on a stick, and I must say I was honored that I was able to sample all your stuff there when you were up in Willoughby a couple weeks ago. Look how thick cut that bacon is, man. That is badass. I mean, this ain't your mother's Sugardale, paper-thin bacon strip. I mean, that looks like it's damn near a quarter-inch like a steak.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's awesome. Unfortunately, we eat too much of it on the truck too. So, but yeah, I don't think there's been a day we've taken the truck out that the bacon hasn't sold out, and it's like a mob when we tell them we're all out. But yeah, it's great. You would think it'd be all like 300-pound dudes coming up for bacon on a stick, but we get more bacon sold to women than we do men. Actually, a lot of time the guy will buy it, and then the girl will snatch it right out of his hand and start gnawing away on it. So
is that because Cleveland has a bunch of fat broads running around, or what?
I think they just love bacon. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. I mean, it's really good. So, I mean, when you have bacon that thick, I mean, it's hard enough, I guess, preparing bacon in the smoker where it's edible, so it's not like rubbery, I guess.
Right.
So, what's like the cooking process on that bacon? Because it is a thick cut.
The great thing about the bacon is we could cook it a little bit long. If it gets a little crispy, people love it that way too. Because there's 2 different camps. There's the crispy camp, and then there's the kind of not so cooked camp. So if you cook it a little bit too much, there's a lot of people that love it crispy. But really, the key to the bacon is the glaze that we put on it. We add like a brown sugar, maple syrup. We add a little beer into the glaze, so it cuts some of the saltiness out of there. But we basically just put it in the smoker and let the smoker do its job. It's maybe about 45 minutes inside the smoker, and it's ready to go.
As far as the hot links, which, all things being equal, when I was sampling all the products there at the beer fest or whatever the hell that thing was, the bourbon fest, the sausage was phenomenal. And this isn't something that you're just rolling up and getting. You're actually got some guy in, I figured it was like Central Ohio or Columbia Station or somewhere like that who's making it for you. I mean, it's really top-notch stuff. So I guess, where did you get the recipe and how did you find some guy to make it?
Really, it comes from when we ate down in Texas where it's, it's basically beef and pepper and cayenne pepper and salt. I mean, we're a little bit different than like your typical like competition barbecue guy. We'll pretty much tell you everything that's in any of our food. We're not too worried about it. I mean, it's we're cooking the food to make people happy and so they enjoy it. We don't care if we're winning anything or doing anything like that. So if you want to go home and and cook what we're cooking, that's fine by us. We'll give you the recipe if you want. A lot of that comes from Aaron Franklin down in Texas. You go on the internet, he'll tell you exactly what he puts on how he cooks all his food. He's not worried about it. It's for the soul more than, we like to make a little bit of money, but, barbecue is something that anybody can do in their backyard, and there doesn't need to be any secrets. We're all just, ultimately everybody stands around their barbecue, drinks some beer, so it's, that's how we like to run the truck.
Shane Vidovic joining me here on the show from The Proper Pig. Shane, when you are cooking, and obviously the meat selection is one thing, and finding consistent purveyors of good stuff. I mean, you don't want to have crap. Obviously, a good product to start with is going to yield a good finished product.
Right.
But how do you go about pricing and costing? Every little thing on that truck costs money or is an expense, and I think that to a certain extent, that is something that it can be easily overlooked. You haven't accounted for it in how you're pricing or costing, and you're tallying up receipts at the end of a weekend or a day or a Christmas party or whatever the hell you're doing, and you're like, God damn, we should be this percentage ahead, and I can't figure out where the hell we were at. How do you make sure, or what measures did you take to make sure that you weren't shortchanging yourself right off the bat in the business aspect?
Well, the biggest challenge was the yield, how much we were going to get out of the meat when we threw the shoulders in or the briskets in, how many sandwiches or how many servings, how many samplers we'd be able to get out of it. So we really had to pay close attention to what yield we were getting out of the meat. And with the FEC 120, your yield is like awesome in that thing. So we're able to get a pretty good amount of food per shoulder. So my job that I have, my regular job, is really analytical. So spreadsheets, stuff like that. You kind of figure out how much meat you're using, how much a bun costs or how much a container costs, and price it out per that. Plus you look at the market and see what other people are charging for similar things. I mean, you don't want to be the cheapest guy, but you don't want to be the most expensive guy either, because we are putting a lot of time into it and we're cooking good food. So, people go to a food truck, they think it should be super cheap because it's just a kitchen on wheels, but anytime we drive that thing anywhere, it costs us money just in gasoline alone just to get it there. And so basically, I mean, everything accounts for a certain dollar amount, and we just add it together and then see what the market will bear, I guess. And, different events kind of have different pricing ranges too, no matter where you're at. If you're doing a small church event, you might sell sliders and charge a little less than if you're on the street where people might want bigger sandwiches or something like that. So that's the best part of a food truck. We could change everything whenever we want to change it. So it's great. I mean, it's definitely a good way for us to start out in the business.
Yeah, I guess that was going to be the next question was, do you have one set pricing model and it holds true from event to event to event? But obviously answered that, so you can kind of change on the fly as the situation dictates.
Right.
The next question is, you mentioned you were at a flea market this past weekend, and within 3 hours you're out of all the food. So, as you said, curse, blessing, everybody ate your food. Obviously they loved it. You wish you would have had more because you could continue to sell it, obviously, because there was demand there. So leading to an event, how are you figuring out how much you're going to cook? And do you ever continually cook on site? Do you have like X amount pre-cooked, and then when you show up to the event, you jam in, 10 or 12 more pork shoulders and 3 or 4 briskets just to have in case, or is that like not business prudent?
Well, most of our stuff takes 12 hours, and most of our events aren't close to that long. So certain stuff we could cook rather quick, like bacon, we could cook rather quick. Sausages don't take 12 hours to cook. And we could crank the heat up on the smoker a little bit too if we have to. But when it comes to pork or brisket, what we have is what we have when we pull in there. And if it sells out, like our brisket, we could barely cook enough to keep it in stock, because in Cleveland, we're not getting too much. No, you're not getting too much good brisket. Most people up here think brisket is steamed, kind of more of the Jewish cooking style, I guess, of brisket. So it's the brisket, people get it and it just goes like crazy. So it's like you said, it's a blessing and a curse. I mean, we in coming up in the future, we're just going to cook more and cook more. And hey, if we have to take it home and eat it or give it away to people, we're still getting our food out there to people, even if we have to give it to other vendors or whatever. Just give it away. It's not the worst case scenario. I mean, we'll be fine at the end of the day. But yeah, it's hard to judge that. That's been the hardest part of the business for us, is to decide how much food to cook, because we have no track record to go off of. So we've been pretty blessed, though, that we pretty much sell out everywhere. Even if we cook more than the previous week, it's always gone. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, and obviously there's a reputation being built as well, which is a good thing. And, being the analytical guy you are, you're keeping track of where you've been at. If you're coming back next year, obviously you can make adjustments to that spreadsheet as well from what the previous events have held for you. Where, obviously you want this to be a success. Like, where do you see this, in a year from now or 2 years from now? Do you still see you and Ted working day jobs and doing this part-time, or is the goal for one or both of you to be at this full-time and have multiple trucks? And is there a restaurant dream in the future? Like, what's the 5, 10, 15-year plan?
I think the ultimate dream would be to have a restaurant similar to like the ones you see in Texas, where you walk up to the counter, place your order, Ted or I'm slicing the meat right there, the other one's throwing on the sides, and a couple pieces of white bread. You go sit down and eat, maybe at a shared table where you meet people you may never met before, kind of a community type thing. Cleveland's becoming a little bit cooler when it comes like that. There's a lot of more community. There's a pretty big community feeling, and I think that's kind of how we would want to feel if we had a restaurant. Maybe that's a couple years down the road if we're lucky. But for right now, next year, we're just going to hit it on the truck as many times as we can and crank it out. But I don't think we'll ever open up another truck. I think the next step would be a brick or mortar place, because it's just, Cleveland, it snows like, 8 months out of the year?
Yes,
so
that's right.
We got a couple events planned for the winter, but it's not going to be fun to stand out there in the freezing cold, so, maybe something small. You could kind of control your costs a little bit more if you do it the Texas style, where it's all like cut to order and serving, where you don't have to have waitresses and stuff like that. Place where you go down with your buddies and you grab a beer and eat some good barbecue.
That's always been my take is, because my mom says that she loves my barbecue as well. Jane, maybe you didn't know that. And, friends and people that live around here are like, oh, dude, you should open up a restaurant. And I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea. Except for the fact, as you mentioned, that it snows like 7-8 months out of the year. So to me, it's like the best thing that you could do is find an abandoned tasty freeze, overtake it, kind of like Todd Johns was talking about in the first hour with his Plowboys. He had an old Rendy's that he has since renovated. But, for me, not even that big, just like an old ice cream place, renovated a little bit, stick a smoker somewhere, whether it be out back cooking live fire or something like an old Hickory or an FEC or something like that. Me, maybe my wife or some, hot high school chick or something like that to serve. But no eat-in, no as little overhead as possible. And then, at 2:30, once I've sold out of all my meat, I hang the sign. Everybody comes back the next day. I just don't see that concept working here, because nobody's going to wait outside starting now through the end of March. So, it has to be a more traditional restaurant setting for you to really go after, and I think that's what you're talking about. Right, exactly, yeah. Chipotle's kind of changed the way people look at restaurants anymore. People wait in that line to get a burrito for a half hour. They'll have 50 people deep in there, So, I don't know. Part of us like to look at the numbers, but then, as you could tell from the truck, we don't really plan too much ahead. We might just one day jump into it. So it's I don't know. It's an adventure. We don't think too far ahead. So it's but yeah, I totally agree. But I also wait in line at Franklin's Barbecue for 4 hours in 40-degree weather in the rain. So I'm not the guy to ask, probably. So all right. Well, let's ask you this: since you waited in the line, life-changing or life mistaking? Oh, life-changing. Really? That's what drove me to this whole thing. Without waiting in that line, I probably would have never gone through with my part of the truck. You probably waited so long you contracted malaria or something like that for credit.
No, the atmosphere is awesome. People are tailgating. It's like tailgating. You're drinking beer and you're just waiting. You're meeting. You're making new friends. People in the line. Everybody's looking for good barbecue. And basically, when you get in there, you're just ready to hand over your whole wallet because you're so hungry. And,
let me ask you this question. And I know Aaron is actually a fan of the show, and he listens late night while he's making all the barbecues. So shout out to Aaron for listening.
Yeah.
Hit me back. We need to have you back on. Do you think that Franklin's has become so popular and there is a consistent line of 3 hours? You wait a 4-hour line. It's wrapping around God knows where, halfway to Dallas-Fort Worth. Do you think anybody would say, shit, I just wasted 4 hours of my life and the barbecue was average? Do you think anybody would say that, or do they feel like at this point they have to say that it was well worth the wait? Be honest.
For me, it was definitely worth the wait. But I mean, I'm sure there's people that maybe I go to every single barbecue that's within like 3 hours of here. So I've compared it to a lot, and I've never had anything that was like one where you wake up the next morning in your pajamas and you're like eating it for breakfast, cold out of the refrigerator.
It's good.
But I don't know. Maybe it's the atmosphere. Maybe the food's great, but also, he's standing there. He's taking his time to greet everybody that comes in there. It's more of an experience too. Right. It's there's something to be said about somebody that's in it to do because they like cooking than to just make money. It's I'm sure he's making plenty of money, but he's also there at 2 a.m. to check the smokers and everything like that. And he's probably exhausted, but he's in there greeting. I shook his hand. Everybody in the line shook his hand, and I think that's also what people love too. It's a really down to earth place. It makes you feel like you're part of something, I think, too.
Shane Vidovic is co-owner of the Proper Pig Smokehouse, a food truck right here in Cleveland, Ohio. Do you have a website, Shane, or you just go through the Facebook or what?
Yeah, we're on Facebook and Twitter. Twitter's Proper Pig Barbecue. Facebook's Proper Pig Smokehouse. Like us, check it out. We're always posting pictures. We're always watching everything everybody's doing in barbecue, so we try to retweet some cool stuff that we see. It's a lot of fun, man. If you're not on that Twitter, there's no way you're gonna live in this business.
That's
so
right. Get on the social media.
Shane, it's been a great summer, and it's been a great summer in Cleveland.
Absolutely.
First, we got great barbecue, and then second place, we got LeBron back. So
yeah, championships are coming back home, baby.
Yeah.
Well, coming back home. Chances are coming home finally. All right. Shane Vidovic from the Proper Pig Smokehouse food truck right here in Cleveland. Really appreciate the time, man, and we'll talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks a lot for having us.
Yeah, you got it. There he is. Shane, partner Ted, keeping it real, holding it down. Right here on the mean streets of Cleveland, Ohio, with the Proper Pig food truck. Now, that's what I want. Get the straight cash dope from somebody that is living the barbecue business in Cleveland. He is. The Proper Pig Smokehouse. Find him on the Facebooks at Proper Pig BBQ on the Twitter. Doing it because he loves it. All the way back in the first hour, we had Todd Johns of the Pork Pullin' Plowboys talking about his 2 new restaurants. Talked with Dave Bouska from Butcher BBQ, talking about the open pit flavor new pork injection that he has, butcherbbq.com, or if you have a brick and mortar area, check that out first, support them, and then if you can't, go online. And then Shane Vidovic from the Proper Pig helping me close out the second half of the show. If you have raw cast iron, folks, reseason it each and every time. As it starts to cool down from use, hit it with a grill brush, make sure it's clean, and then spray a little Pam. A little Crisco, rub it on there, let it burn back in. You get generations of rust-free service. Also, oh, no, hell no, hell no! Ugh. I forgot to turn off the automatic fade. Anyway, Generations Rust Beef First, also September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. Until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, is your program host and proud U.S. American Greg Rempe. Good night now.